to the Parrot Stars podcast. Today, we'll be talking about something that's really near and dear to the world of parrots, and especially to us because it's what we talk about all the time. I know we say that about every topic, and we talk about a lot of stuff every day. But today will be about foraging with parrots, which is exciting and a lot of fun, and really, how you can improve your overall bird's life and your life too, because it's a lot of fun to be involved. But we'll really dive into all the good stuff around foraging. But just a little bit of fun intro stuff. Forgot to introduce who we were. That's okay.
It's okay. I think they know us by now.
Yeah.
Season 4.
My name's Avery.
I'm Alexis.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know us by now, maybe you need to go back and check out some earlier stuff. Okay.
Alrighty.
And a little behind the scenes. We're wearing our headphones today because if you guys haven't noticed, I scream when I talk and Avery talks very softly, and we were totally out of balance with how we were projecting our voices into the microphone. So the headphones are supposed to help us regulate our projection of voice a little bit better.
It's all for show. The headphones aren't actually on.
Yeah, it's just to make us look more legit. Excuse us while we adjust to hearing every little detail of each other's voice and things we're doing. So, okay.
But some fun intro stuff.
Yes.
As usual, about the things that have been going on at the store. So I guess most recent, we just had last weekend, whenever you're listening to this, our parrot conservation seminar.
Yes.
So a part of our educational class series, which was a lot of fun. We had a great turnout.
Yep.
A lot of very dedicated, passionate people, especially people that have been a part of the Parrot Stars community. So kind of ambassadors for the parrot conservation goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yep.
Went over really well, covered a lot of good stuff and a lot of great conversations, a lot of great input that we had. So it wasn't just us standing up there, just kind of talking about it.
It was very interactive. You did a really good job prepping for it. And I think you did a great job kind of balancing the seriousness of the problems surrounding wild parrot populations, but also inspiring a lot of hope to the people listening and watching live on Instagram, that there are a lot of ways that you can be involved with conservation where you don't have to feel pressured to dump your hard-earned money into organizations. Although that is helpful, there are a lot of ways to approach conservation in a really proactive way that is still making a big impact. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got from what you were saying is conservation is education, and that the goal should just be to acknowledge it, talk about it, and just make yourself aware of all the different problems that are out there, but all the solutions that are available to us as well. And I think the other takeaway I got was that kind of conservation can be and sound a little overwhelming or impossible to tackle if you don't kind of take it in small doses, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can approach conservation in a way that is not scary or feels like it's too much for one person to conquer. It's meant to be a team effort. There's a lot of different organizations that are kind of sharing the load and the burden. So just kind of not feeling overwhelmed by it, but kind of feeling motivated to just do whatever you can, whether it's just Googling it, sharing a conservation organization that you really appreciate on your social media to kind of spread the word a little bit. If you have the funds and the ability to donate, great. Or volunteer if you also have the ability to kind of get your hands on a different project. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was a good recap. It is really, sometimes it can be a sort of doom and gloom. I mean, just researching some of the stuff is sometimes depressing, but it's not something that needs to be what you think of when you're talking about conservation. And it's cool with, cool might not be the right word, but it's a good opportunity with parrots because we have real examples, which I see it as this is a really great opportunity that we can actually show a lot of times what we have in the store as examples. So it's more of a hands-on, you're seeing that right there. With cats and dogs, I mean, you don't, you can't really use them as examples. Sure, you could talk about all the wild cats and all like the wolves and stuff like that need help, but there's a big disconnect. But you're seeing what's actually
needing
being
help in the
affected
wild.
in the wild. So
and I think people were surprised when you mentioned that sun conures. Everybody's like famous, like everyone knows the sun conure here, especially in the United States, because they're really prevalent in the pet population. But I would say most of the people who attended that class were kind of shocked to hear that sun conures are really struggling in the wild. And what you and I talked about is kind of encouraging people to have that connection of their parrot's wild counterpart. Obviously, we're kind of catering to people who are very loving and caring for their pets in their home, but we kind of want to extend that love and consideration to the wild species as well.
Yeah, you experienced that firsthand when you went down there for the trip. So, which would be kind of a crazy opportunity to actually be like, are you serious? I mean, because they're currently listed as endangered on IUCN, which is kind of crazy. But
it is.
Anyways, that was the educational class.
So I think just in case you haven't heard about our free educational series, we'll just like plug it really quickly. So every single month, we have a free education class at Parrot Stars where you can register to attend in person. It is completely free, but space is limited, so that's why we have the registration. But we also live stream every free education class on our Instagram as well. We also are recording every episode so that we can eventually post them on YouTube. So if you want to hear about that wonderful conservation education class or you want to listen to it, you can go to our Instagram page and find the live stream or stay tuned on our YouTube channel to see the video version as well. All right, so foraging.
Yeah.
So foraging was also a education class that we did, also one that Avery presented to our audience. And there's a lot of benefits to foraging, probably far more than what you and I can try to fully encompass in our podcast episodes. So I think that's a representation to how crucial foraging is to companion parrots. But we are going to try to give you guys a little bit of background about what foraging is, why it's so important, and the connection to their wild instinctual behaviors. And then how you can do it within your household for your companion parrot, and hopefully give you guys some tips and pointers if you've been struggling or you don't know how to approach teaching your parrot how to forage. We're going to try to outline some suggestions for you.
Yeah. So foraging is one of the things that probably in every conversation that I have with any customer that comes into the store, it comes up at least once or twice or very many times. Because to me and to all of us, foraging is one of the most important things besides the actual foundational necessities of having a parrot in captivity. But like you just said, to actually define, because a lot of times I get through whole conversations about foraging and because we talk about it so much, we take for granted, but many times customers are like, what do you mean by foraging? What does that mean? I said, oh, okay. Well, that's good. So foraging is by definition is literally searching for food to eat in your natural habitat or wherever you have available. That's it. So just the act of searching for your food. So parrots being prey animals, they're not predators. They don't sit and wait, or they don't prowl, or they don't, anything of that nature. They're always moving around looking for resources that they can eat. Because if they don't do that, they're not going to last very long.
And although these animals are native to parts of the world that have a lot of... Okay, guys, should we sidebar again? All these poor listeners.
Side note.
So we are, Andrew and I at my house, we record this at my house, and we are fostering a feral kitten at the moment. So if you guys aren't aware, I don't think I've ever said it in this podcast, my very best friend, Rachel, is as much of an animal lover as I am, but her main focus and goal is on feral cat populations. So she has a TNR program, which is trap, neuter, release. And they've already done over 200 feral cats from the Chicago suburbs just this spring.
Wow.
And there's a lot of kittens. So it's a no-kill program. So if the kittens are alive, they're obligated to try to keep them alive.
Of course.
But they will obviously get spayed and neutered. And if they are kittens, because they can technically still tame down, they do try to foster them out to socialize them a little bit with the hopes of getting them adopted.
Right.
Well, there was unfortunately like a viral outbreak among these groups of kittens from the same area. And this kitten that we're fostering wasn't showing any symptoms of it. So Rachel was desperate for a home that didn't have any cats to quarantine it.
Yeah.
And here I am with the cat now on top of my 4 birds and 4 dogs. And she's been an absolute riot, but she does have feral cat tendencies.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So Julian has a little string right now. That she's acting like a cat. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
She's a little kitten too. So not like a full growth. So it's extra cute.
She's so cute. Okay. So actually, sidebar again, it actually inspired Avery and I to have the idea to do a predators and prey episode coming up, where we'll talk about how to safely house cats and dogs and your parrots in your household together, because I don't know if we'll end up being foster failures and keeping this cat. I'm also allergic to cats, so we have a lot of stuff on the table of making a decision, but there'll be a lot of training that needs to be done to make sure that this cat doesn't do anything to my birdies. So anyways, so sorry if Avery and I keep glancing over to the side here where we're trying to spy on this kitten at play. So for a lot of the regions that these parrots are native to, although they are coming from like very biodiverse areas where there are a lot of probably food choices and the density of food is available to them at a little bit greater chance than maybe like a desert setting. There is no free lunch in the wild. Like they have to work for their food. And I think we take that for granted, even just as humans, because we no longer have to forage for our food. It's just show up at a grocery store and everything you could ever want or need is basically right there in front of us. All of the work associated with acquiring food is gone, with the exception of like just having to have the money to buy the food. The actual mechanism of searching for food is completely obsolete these days for the most part, unless you actively seek it out. But we can't take that for granted as for how much that has to apply to our companion parrots. It's just so important.
That's a good point. I mean, with our lifestyles, like those who are privileged to have all that stuff, we kind of put that mindset onto our bird. And so then like obviously your bird can't go to the grocery store. But what I mean is like there's that disconnect where you're like, oh, well, I supply the bird the food right there, so they're totally fine. But there's such a different way of thinking. And going back to what you're saying in the wild, yeah, resources where they're located at certain times of year might be pretty plentiful, but there are many times of the year where it's not, even in these tropical regions where it's such biodiverse, fauna and flora. But a lot of the food that parrots have evolved into with their niche, like meaning where they fit in with the ecosystem, their role that they play, it might be right there, but it's hard to access. It's hard to get. It's hard to, get open. It's, because a lot of the food that they eat is encased in very hard shells or very hard fleshy coverings of like fruits and stuff. And so parrots, what I'm trying to get at, have made it a part of their actual genetics to have to problem solve. To have to critically think and work through all these problems on top of being constantly aware of what's going on around them. Because if they're focused on the thing they're trying to eat for a couple minutes, then they're gonzo because something's already on top of them, So parrots have such a complex mindset that is not dismissed or left behind in captivity. So you have to cater to all these aspects because, I mean, the theme of foraging is anti-boredom in captivity. Sure, it's good if you want to make it nutritional, obviously, that's great. But it's really to occupy your parrot to be able to allow them to behave and think the way they would naturally, because that can cater to a healthy parrot.
Yes, for sure.
So that's a podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So when parrots are existing in their natural habitat, about 75% of their day is spent foraging.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot.
I really encourage everybody to kind of look at the full day your parrot is experiencing in your home. So these are not domesticated animals. They have all of their natural wild instincts. And if 75% of their day in the wild is spent being very physically active, searching for food,
right.
When we make the food just available to them in their cage, we're also losing the potential physical element to exercise and foraging. Obviously, the mental, we'll go into that a little bit more as we give you kind of more background on how you can go about the foraging. But there are ways to kind of encourage your parrot to physically move throughout its cage in order to forage, or move throughout your home in order to forage.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever we're giving the parrots an activity to do, because they have super fast metabolisms and they're burning energy and they're kind of go, go, go all day long, we might also be proactively preventing some of the attention-seeking behaviors that a parrot might do throughout the day.
Right.
So a lot of times people kind of mislabel attention-seeking behaviors as quote-unquote bad behaviors. Parrots don't innately understand that behaviors are good or bad.
Yeah.
They're just doing whatever they need to do to achieve some sort of goal, whether it's to get food, to get companionship, to rest, whatever. And a lot of behaviors that are what you would quote unquote call bad, possibly screaming, biting, kind of chewing up parts of your house that you would prefer not to have the bird chew up, they are probably going to get a reaction out of you. And now you've kind of taught your parrot, hey, this is how you get my attention, by doing these behaviors.
Right.
So it is also a good way of taking all that pent up physical energy that a parrot's going to have in captivity and redirecting it into something that's highly productive for them, but then will also take away a huge amount of the day where your parrot might be motivated to do some of those unfavorable attention-seeking behaviors. So it's a huge element to kind of using your resources and keeping the bird really active, but in a way that's mutually benefiting both of you, you and the bird.
Yeah, and going back to, 75%, and this isn't just a number that we pulled out or all this stuff. This is actually cited by the Association of Avian Veterinarians. So this is backed observations. And if you think about it, that's 7 to 8 minutes out of every 10 minutes of when the parrot is awake and actively doing stuff during the day. So yeah, in captivity, it might be hard to achieve for anybody that even puts in all their resources to actually get that full amount. But any little bit, that you can achieve can make or break your birds, their mindset, their mentality. So it's kind of crazy if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that the parrots are just always eating. They just
yes. So again, just kind of going into the fun biology of parrots, they have very fast metabolism.
Right.
And although what you've highlighted in previous episodes, birds are very efficient creatures.
Yeah.
They use the energy that they take in through food very effectively to have enough energy to sustain flight and all the activity they have. But flight is a very energy expensive behavior and mechanism. So parrots have to have a certain degree of fat and calorie intake to be able to accommodate the very, very active lifestyle that they live. So it's just really important to kind of take that into consideration too, that that is a huge contributing factor to why parrots are so seem like they're ravenous all day long. It's because they've evolved to have very fast metabolism and need to take in food frequently throughout the day.
So yeah, they eat a lot. But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they like gorging themselves all day long. And it comes across that way because we always say parrots are always eating. They're always eating. Make sure you always got food right there. But they are always eating, but in the way that they do.
Yeah.
Like they're just eating little bits at a time. But it's a part of their lifestyle. They're ingrained. I hate using the word routine for parrots because they're not routine animals, but it's just they're need little bits every 15 to 20 minutes. That's what we say for baby birds.
Yes. And it's not like so much, exactly. It's not a quantity as much as it is just like keeping some sort of small intake of calories throughout their day.
Exactly. So that's what you can use for any age of parrot to set your foraging activities, like what you put in that foraging activity, which we'll obviously go into later. But just to give you a sense of being able to maybe change some things about the actual food that you're serving, like static dry food in the dish. Because a lot of times, and we talked about this in a previous episode of parrots being picky eaters in season 3, about a lot of times parrots don't actively participate in these sort of activities in captivity is because of that abundance of just food that is readily available. And going, I mean, it's all a full circle because even though parrots have this ingrained genetic lifestyle of foraging and searching for food, they're not dumb. Like if it's right there for them, I mean, they're going to eat all that, and then they're not going to want to participate in those other activities. And then it's a negative feedback loop because then, therefore, they're going to be trying to get that energy out in other ways of undesirable attention-seeking behaviors.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's just kind of the basis of kind of what you can think of food-wise, which, like I said, we'll elaborate later on what to actually give and how to give it and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I think we're at a point now where most of our podcast listeners are probably, or hopefully have listened to the previous episodes where we can start kind of talking about the importance of portion control within the cage. And if you haven't listened to anything food related or any episodes that are food related yet, go back and listen to them.
Do it.
Because obviously, not talking about young baby parrots. Those are going to be their own category of feeding routines. But most adult parrots are being way overfed in most people's homes. And I always use the term carefully, but we can kill them with kindness. And I think we, again, as humans, have kind of evolved to show affection and love through food. It's such a huge part of our culture and our way of kind of communicating that you care for somebody is making this beautiful meal for them and having food available when you have guests over. And we kind of tend to overfeed our birds because it's kind of a sign of affection that you're willing to do all this amazing stuff. You buy them all this amazing food that you've worked hard to invest in, and you make it all right there available to them. And it's like, okay, keep doing all of that, but make your portion size very, very small. And evaluate what your parrot is really excited about and then use those food items as your foraging rewards.
100%. Yeah. And it's always when we're talking to people that come into the store, this is not a universal like method. Like every situation is different. So, and it depends. But after discussing the actual situation with each customer, and we're like, okay, well, it sounds like what's best is literally like a tablespoon for your adult, like elderly parrot. And they're like, are you serious? Like, yeah, that's what it takes. And that's what we do with some of our residents because that's what's conducive to their health. And so, I mean, you can utilize that to open up all these different methods of foraging and other activities in your birds, which is kind of the whole point. So,
and
like I said, go back to previous episodes.
And I'll share kind of like a concrete example. So Rascal, who has been at the store since she was a baby. She's now almost 7. She has had weight fluctuations, and now I've been a lot stricter this past 6 months as we're kind of doing our harness training and all of this extra work with her. We've been very careful about the quantity of food that she is eating and her weight gain and weight loss and all this.
Right.
But when she was young, even though we made foraging toys available to her, I don't think she ever really appreciated them as foraging toys because she wasn't hungry enough to have the food reward or the foraging reward actually give her the gratification of foraging.
Right.
So, for example, I think maybe we can kind of use this as like a segue into like the types of foraging your parrot can do, maybe.
Yeah.
So, usually we talk about foraging that there's two different ways of achieving it for your parrot. Either they chew up a toy in order to achieve a food reward, or they problem solve a toy in order to achieve a foraging reward.
Right.
So a lot of the like intro foraging toys are most oftenly chew toys. And I think Rascal was just like chewing them up as chew toys because she had so much food available to her that like I'd often see her kind of be indifferent to the like excitement of finding the foraging reward.
Right.
And especially throughout the like last year and a half, now when we give Rascal those like really complex foraging toys where she has to use her brain to problem solve, it is for the sole purpose of her trying to access the food reward.
Right.
And we have strategically made it so that those favorite things that she loves, pistachios, in-shell pine nuts, nutriberries, she's got to work for every single one of those items.
Yeah.
Either through training or through foraging. And so that would be kind of, I mean, that's just like an example of how we've kind of worked with one parrot specifically that I think maybe she was doing foraging to some degree without us really meaning to, because like we always had foraging toys in there for her. But now that we've actually purposefully tried to teach her how to forage and given her so much reinforcement for doing so, she is like excited by it.
Yeah.
She will work on a foraging toy for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen overnight. It was something that we kind of had to like work as a team to kind of strategically do and present to her so that she was more motivated to do it.
Yeah, and there's a couple of points in there that it's really good to highlight. So one, you use the word work. And again, going back to our mindset as humans with the birds that we love, work is always kind of has a negative connotation. You're not forcing your bird to do what they don't want to do. You're not forcing your bird to work.
Yeah.
It's something that is, I mean, we keep repeating ourselves, but this is something that's conducive to their health, but ingrained into their lifestyle. So, and it really helps with one, if your bird is overweight, it could help. I'm not saying this is a situation for everybody, but weight control, reducing undesirable behaviors. Again, we've already mentioned it, but it's kind of one of the biggest things that why you should start, aside from the bird's actual well-being, start foraging. And the second thing that you mentioned, which because us as humans want that instant gratification, we want to hear these solutions, sure, but then we want it to work right away. But it takes a long time. If your bird has never had this in their life, has never foraged, and they're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, it's something that's going to take a long time to teach them. But it's really, really worth it. So I think it would be kind of cool to go into what birds actually do in the wild and how you can cater to that in your home. Because a lot of the birds that we're going to highlight here are very common examples of what most people do take home from us or what we've found most people have in their home. So green cheeks, conures, a lot of the conures kind of exhibit very similar behaviors in the wild. They have that similar lifestyle of they are canopy foragers. A lot of the conures are not usually ground foragers like some of the other species that we'll highlight, but it's just a different way of how you can cater to that foraging activity. So conures in the wild will eat fruits and dried fruits and seeds and nuts and all that typical parrot stuff. But it's stuff that's readily available that you can find anywhere. And it's something that they recognize and that they know, so you can utilize that. Another good example on the other side would be like Quakers or even something totally unrelated but similar lifestyle is like African greys.
Mm-hmm.
which are both pretty common in a sense, especially Quakers, but they are ground foragers.
Mm-hmm.
And so use your bird's natural behaviors to your
Yeah.
advantage. I mean, a conure might have fun with a little cat scratcher foraging board that you put down there, but that's not something that
It's going to be instinctive to
right.
them
And
to
that's
go down and forage. They might linger more towards the top
exactly
of the cage, or might you might see them more motivated to go over to like a skewer that has chunks hanging off of it, or a suspended toy from
right.
the top of the cage.
Exactly. And you can see real world examples at the store. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when the birds are out and the conures are out, they're never down there. But then if you let
Sorry.
the cockatiels is another great example.
Mm-hmm.
Cockatiels, which are obviously one of the most common parrots in captivity. Quakers as well sometimes, and especially the cockatoos.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep them up off the ground.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is really cool, the real world examples we get at Parrot Stars, because when we got the cat scratcher boards, so guys, it's literally just a cardboard cat scratcher. We sell them.
Yeah.
You can make one at home. We don't care how you do it as long as you're foraging with your parrot.
Right.
But they're super inexpensive, and you literally just like sprinkle whatever foraging reward, whether it's little seeds or pieces of millet. And I remember so distinctly, before we moved the cockatiels to the aviary, we did have a cage of cockatiels, and Maria like totally fitted out this cat scratcher foraging board for the cockatiels.
Oh, no.
And like wedged so many treats in there, and she put it in there, and all of the cockatiels were like, what the heck is that? They were terrified.
They were spooked.
They were all up at the top of the cage, and they were just like staring at it like, oh my God, what is this foreign object in the cage? We came in the next day, and that foraging board was absolutely demolished.
I know.
Like
such a mess.
Nothingness. They had gotten every single treat out of there. They chewed up every little ounce of cardboard. I can guarantee you, if we went back on the cameras, they were doing it all night long. And I think, yes, the first time you put a foraging toy in there, don't get discouraged if your bird doesn't run over to it.
Yeah.
They're complex creatures. They often are very fear-based. A foreign object might seem a little intimidating to them. But don't give up on foraging if it's not, like you said, giving you that instant gratification of seeing your parrot go over and enjoy it immediately. It might take a moment.
Yeah.
But using your parrot's wild counterparts as inspiration to like or how to set up the foraging item in the cage is really going to be helpful, because I can guarantee you that those cockatiels went down to that foraging board and enjoyed it so much, because that is like such a natural behavior for them, is to go down and forage on the ground as a group, especially.
Yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, it just is. That's the fact of the matter. But actual things of what to serve, aside from like the generic, like NutriBerries all packed in one. Sure, that's a great example. I'm not dogging on them. But real world examples, especially for like larger birds, with like the large nuts. So you've probably, if you do have a large bird and they have their bowl of food there, and then you throw an in-shell walnut or an in-shell hard nut, Brazil nut, whatever, hazelnut, your bird, not always, but almost always goes right to that.
Yeah.
You know, that's foraging. That's still foraging. It's very short. It's very minimal, but it's still something that they have to put in that work, that physical activity to get out the reward. And so utilize that in a way and progress to more complex foraging activities to just make it a whole part of their lifestyle.
So if you are having trouble figuring out what food choice is going to motivate your companion parrot, this is what I typically recommend to people. Kind of evaluate your parrot's overall confidence level and where you're at with like the physicality of your parrot. If you're really struggling even having your parrot come out of the cage, you can still do this in a modified way within the cage. But if you have a relatively good relationship with your parrot, usually what I would suggest is collect all of the different food items you have available in your house for your parrot, whether it be your NutriBerries, Ava cakes, little bird parrot cookies, and then your seed blends, your pellet blends, dried fruits, whatever. Whatever you've got available to you, ready to go at your house. If you aren't sure what your motivator is for foraging, take your bird's food out right before you go to bed so that when it wakes up in the morning, it's only got access to water and it's probably going to be pretty hungry. And then I always recommend like laying out like a fun smorgasbord. So like just laying down all your different food choices like on a table, or like I said, if your parrot isn't really coming out of the cage, put a little bit of everything in your parrot's food dish and then see what your parrot goes for first. Almost always when your parrot is hungry, and I'm not telling you to leave them for a long extended period of time without food, but just overnight, they're going to be hungry. The thing that's going to give them the most instant gratification and be their highest motivator is most likely going to be that first thing that they pick up in the morning.
Yeah.
So if it's a piece of nut, if it's a piece of dried fruit, if it is that big kind of very rewarding Nutriberry, whatever it is, use that as your foraging reward because I can almost guarantee you it's the thing that's exciting your parrot the most.
Yeah.
I think this rule applies for foraging rewards as it does for training rewards.
Yeah.
Whatever that high value reward is that you're going to use for this problem solving, reserve it only for foraging.
Yeah.
For example, if it is the Nutriberries or a pine nut that your parrot is so excited about and really loves them, if you're like sprinkling those at the top of the dish every couple days or before you leave for work, it's going to take away the excitement.
Yeah.
You have to keep it and reserve it for those foraging moments.
Exactly. And going off that excitement, like the bird's motivation is you want to cater to what your bird likes. And your bird will either tell you what they like with that smorgasbord idea. Going back to Rascal, she'll literally say like, when you give her a treat.
If she loves it,
and she'll pin her eyes at you. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty good indicator that she's enjoying what we gave her. But not only what they like, but to keep it dynamic, diverse, and so you can avoid the boredom is utilizing all the other senses. So, I mean, we usually try to find things for parrots. I don't know if this is totally true, but what we think is kind of more of a nutritional aspect for foraging. Oftentimes people overlook all the other sensory aspects of what they're serving. So your parrots like vision, like what they see, something that's dynamic, something that's brightly colored, piece of dried fruit or something like that can really get your bird's attention. The texture, I mean, in-shell nuts obviously have that great textural aspect, but even like a mini seed foraging mix that can just change the dynamic of a foraging activity. Smell. So just to plug something we have at the store, like our Nature's Enrichment Bountiful Garden mix, where it's a bunch of like floral flowers, dried flowers, herbs, pollens, really good stuff like that. Great nutritional value, sure, but the smell is fantastic. Yeah, and you can't forget about that because every time I'm like, your bird has a really good sense of smell. People don't like, oh, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, and so what you can do with something like that is hiding some of that good smelly stuff around the enclosure if your bird is out and about, so that when they go back, it catches their attention, they can smell it, they seek it out, then you have a whole activity on your hand that's occupying your parrot. And so I guess that's a good way of saying that foraging, there's no like rule book. There's no do's and don'ts, obviously common sense, but like you can do whatever you want. And that's good to cater to all these different things for your bird. You never want it to be something where your bird is like getting bored or getting over it like as quickly, because then you do run out of options, if you know what I'm saying. So keep it dynamic, keep it diverse.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to our earlier comments and episodes about how to focus on quality of time versus quantity of time for your parrot. So sometimes I just hear people tell me that if they've kind of already done a lot of their positive reinforcement training, they're overall relatively satisfied with their bird's behavior. So if you are not overly satisfied with your parrot's behavior, you need to go back and do positive reinforcement training. But we advocate for people having a lot of social companionship with their companion parrots. They need to be out of the cage. They need to be doing stuff. They need to have interaction and engagement. But how do you make sure that that time is meaningful to them? And foraging is just like a great thing to keep you as the human busy also. Because just like what you're saying, the options of types of foraging and how you do foraging with your parrot is literally limitless.
Yeah.
So take all 5 senses and try to cover all 5 of them.
Yeah.
Take all the different types and styles of foraging toys, the chew toys and the problem-solving toys, and do a little bit of time every couple weeks with a new type or switch back and forth between them. And some examples of the chew toys. I mean, there's literal parrot piñatas that are colorful cardboard boxes, basically, that you hide treats within, and the bird chews them up and destroys them. So that's like kind of like the most vivid.
I think we sell more piñatas than anything else.
We do.
In the whole store.
They're phenomenal, and they work. I mean, for my birds, they go through their piñatas right away. They love them. And then for problem solving, you guys can go on our website or just Google. There's all of the different acrylic foraging toys where there's like multi-levels that the treat has to drop down. The bird has to pull a lever, open a drawer. Those really work. So when you have so many options available to you, it is, in my recommendation, the best use of your time when you're looking for playtime with your companion parrot.
Yeah.
They are not super touchy-feely animals. Yes, every so often you get a parrot that would love a solid 5 to 10 minute head scratch session.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily always going to be the case. Depends on the bird's mood. But foraging, if done proactively and thoughtfully, your parrot is almost always going to be motivated to do it. Yeah. And it's just a phenomenal use of your time to engage with your parrot, but then also your parrot's going to get so much out of it. They're getting companionship from you, and they're doing their most core, innate, instinctual behavior all in one.
Yeah. I always, when people come in and ask for recommendations for toys, it's never just like, I always incorporate the foraging. Yes. So I tell people, find toys that utilize both chewing but also foraging opportunities, because then you get a 2-in-1. You can reuse it. You have multiple uses out of this, and your bird is, happily ever after. But like the DIY aspect, there's so many different things. And just from examples, easy peasy, crumbling up a piece of printer paper with a walnut inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just throwing it in there if you're busy, having a busy day. That is an activity that, depending on your bird, might take a while. I saw a video, which is really fun. I think this is a great idea of doing that. It's not like the magic trick thing, but when you have like the 3 cups.
Oh, yes.
The 3, yeah. And then I saw they put a little treat. I don't know what it was, I forget, but a little treat under one of the cups, and then they moved them all around. And then the bird ended up destroying all the cups.
It's okay.
But that's what it's about,
Yes.
keeping your bird occupied. So those little cone cups you see at the dentist's office, that's safe for parrots. I mean, that's just little fun stuff. What I'm getting at is not only being creative, but foraging is people's opportunities to play with your bird. Like you just said, parrots are never guaranteed to be cuddly, huggy-feely animals. In fact, most of them don't want that. And then we get personally offended when our parrot doesn't want that.
Yeah, so or bites to tell us to back off.
Right. And then we get offended because we're like, oh my God, my bird hates me. No, that's just not what parrots are. So redirect that energy, redirect that affection, and play with them via foraging activities. Do it with them. Make little puzzles that take 10 minutes out of your busy day of doing that little cup activity or whatever you can think of, and be involved with your bird's activities. And not just, and you always mention this in almost every topic, but it's not like an out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So you're giving quality time to your bird, and with especially that example, you're not just kind of putting something in there and being like, okay, see you later. Have fun with that,
Yes. Don't underestimate our insistence on, or the reason we're so insistent that this is a partnership between you and your bird, that you have to be an active participant in foraging, is because parrots are incredibly social learners.
Yeah.
They are not independent animals in the wild where they are raised by their parents and then they go off kind of like to live the life of a panther where they're basically solitary until it's time for them to reproduce. These are animals that have evolved to basically never be alone. They are with their parents in the beginning, then they are with their flock. When they are breeding, they are constantly with their mate. When their babies fledge, they are with their babies. It is constant social engagement. And their instincts to problem solve are kind of varied depending on the species, but they know for certain, and there's research that there is a lot of learned behavior between the flocks.
Yeah.
And even like regionally. So the way that one flock and group of parrots of the same species and how they forage can vary can vary from the same species but from a different region because they've learned from each other and they've learned what works in what area and how to do things differently. So it is your responsibility as the human, as the caretaker of your parrot, to take your parrot's day and show them how to use their foraging toys and what to do with them. It's not like they're sitting in the canopy and they like have all this natural stimulus. They're in a parrot cage with human predators, with toys that we're telling them to play with. They might, out of natural curiosity, investigate it. But if you're trying to kind of get the bigger bang for your buck of actually having them get the true foraging behavior achieved, you should teach them how to forage. And my recommendation always is when you bring home a new foraging toy, let the parrot see you fill it up with the treats and the rewards. Let that be a social engagement with your companion parrot.
Right.
And then kind of like what I said earlier about the wild, there's no such thing as the free lunch. Don't just like do the foraging toy for the bird, but pretend like you're doing the foraging toy before you let them have it.
I know.
That covers two things. One, it shows them the physicality of how to access the treat without you necessarily like pulling out the treat and giving it to them. You're not doing it for them. But also, they're going to kind of see the like actual mechanism of the toy itself. But when people come to us and say, well, my parrot never plays with toys. It has no interest in foraging toys. I spend all this money on toys and it never plays with them. But then our follow-up is like, okay, does your parrot want to play with your cell phone? Does it want to eat off your dinner plate? Does it want to play with the TV remote and chew up the side of the couch? And people are always like, yes. And that is because those are the items that you, as their companion, are showing interest in. And those are the things they think they should have interest in.
Yeah.
So it's, again, a part of redirecting your parrot's behavior. This is a way of making your time with your bird productive. Like, let's get you away from all the things you are not supposed to be chewing on and funnel that energy into things that are completely 100% safe and appropriate for you to be playing with and chewing on.
Yeah, we always talk about parrots being so incredibly intelligent, and they are, but your bird doesn't come out of the shell like understanding geometry, doesn't understand math or how to do all these things.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is they are capable of learning that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as humans, again, we hear all the time, and we're guilty of it. I mean, we say, oh, these birds are so unbelievably intelligent. And I think it puts kind of this expectation on people where like, oh, yeah, they're super smart, so I'm just going to throw all this stuff in there. And like you said earlier, they're just going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even, some of the foraging toys.
Oh, this happens to me
I
all the
even
time.
mention this. Yeah,
It's a little embarrassing.
I mean, there's multiple staff members looking at this toy, and we're like,
can you figure
how are we supposed
to
talk to customers about this? But what I'm getting at is not only, like you said, is it your opportunity to teach your bird. Mm-hmm. So that way, because they are capable of doing all that excellent, amazing stuff, and even more because they have the capacity to learn all these things and retain that information and then be able to behave differently based off what they've learned. They have fantastic memories, at least we think so, and they show it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's also about the personal aspect. I mean, you're getting involved, you're showing your bird, you're doing all this stuff,
Yeah.
you're occupying them, you're enriching their lifestyle, but you're bonding with your bird too.
Mhm.
So what I always talk about with people is training, number one, and then being involved with the foraging activities
Mhm.
is two of the most quality time opportunities that you have with your bird, where you are putting in,
Mhm.
well, I mean, we already said quality,
Mhm.
quality time. And that's when your bird starts to show their personality. That's when they start to show
Yeah.
their behavior, their excitement, that why you love them. And it just deepens that bond, which is really exciting. A lot of the best interactions that I have with birds is during those two things.
Yeah. Me too.
Training, number one, because you're just you and the bird,
Mhm.
obviously. But foraging, doing something with them, showing them how to do it, and then seeing the light in their eyes and watching them come down and get involved and
Yeah.
get on your hand while they're foraging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're to that point, is really awesome.
Yeah, and it's like a good way of creating frustration in your parrot. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, okay, we're taking these wild animals and we're raising them in captivity. And like, is it right? Is it the best way to be caring for these animals? I don't know. But when it is okay to challenge your bird. And again, I think that goes back to my comment about like killing them with kindness. I think our natural instinct is like, we have got this bird. I'm going to do everything I can to make it as comfortable as possible. And everybody, not everybody, I would say our vast majority of listeners are like incredibly well intentioned, caring people.
Oh yeah.
And we have this happen all the time at the store that like people are afraid to frustrate their bird. Like they don't want the toy to be too complicated because they want their bird to be happy and like
Yeah.
enjoy the experience. But like, I think what you're mentioning, like that moment that you're seeing the bird light up, it is because it was a frustrating moment and they had to really think through what they were experiencing. So it is good to like motivate your bird to have challenging moments in its life.
I know.
And that can come to training and like doing recall and trying to do acrobatic stuff and like doing the tricks through positive reinforcement training. But foraging is such like a perfect way to have that like really intense frustration, but in a very productive way.
Yeah.
Where nothing in the wild is easy and they're having to like have those moments of kind of stress and am I going to be able to do this moment? And in captivity sometimes we're a little afraid. We're like, we got to keep it cushy and let them be protected. You're already protecting them and doing good by them by having the big cage and filling it up with tons of really good stuff and feeding them nutritious food. This is one element of their life that you can like push them beyond their limits a little bit.
Yeah.
And extend their like comfort zone.
Yeah, because like I said, they're capable of doing all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a good example because I don't know what she was trying to convey to me, but Rue, the little Goffins cockatoo, based off what you're saying about like making it too cushy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't know if she was trying to make the point across about this, but I gave a little foraging board a while ago to her, and I just put a walnut in there. I guess it was busy, so I put it in there, and she came down. She was on my hand. She pulled the walnut out, like half second, she threw it on the ground. So she like looked at me with that little Goffin bug eye.
Okay.
And then
Okay. First thing. If you guys have not come to Parrot Stars to meet Rue, you have to come and you have to ask Avery to take her out because she shows this other side of herself when she's working with you that is just like
she's
absolutely insane.
She's
like
a goofy creature.
She is so dynamic. I've just never seen a bird that like technically can't make facial expressions make so many facial expressions. It is the most ironic thing that they can't move their eyebrows, they can't smile.
Yeah, she had one who like furrowed.
That bird has facial expressions. I don't know what it is. The way she looks at you, she's staring straight into your soul and communicating with us.
It's like, oh.
Okay, so meet Rue. And then second, I just had the same exact experience with Rascal. So I just had her in the office. This was just the other day.
Yeah.
after I did a training session with her, and remember, I'm like keeping her diet really limited. So I had her little dish of food, and I took a finger trap and stuck the stuff in there. She ripped that thing out of my hand. Like, she's like, give me that. And she like was so aggressive about it. Not aggressive, but like in a
I
playful
know.
way, guys. Don't take me so literal.
Yeah.
But like, she's like, this is the dumbest foraging toy. And she just like was holding it in her hand. And like, I could just like, she was holding it so tight in her
White
little
knuckle.
foot. And she was just like, rah, like ripping it up, eating the food. Cause I just did pellets. So this is like another element of foraging. She's pretty advanced where like her diet is through foraging for the most part. And so it's not like she's getting like these big rewards. And she's like, you're making me this like all this work for my pellets. And I am not exaggerating. So she has this finger trap. She pulled out all of the pellets that I had wedged in between the little pieces. She took it and like a piece of like you're eating a corn cob, she crunched it all the way down to make sure that she had gotten everything out of it. And she literally whipped it across the room the minute she was done. And I just looked at me like,
That's funny.
I can't believe you made me work for that. Anyway,
She
it was
a funny bird. In a figurative sense, she definitely does have an attitude.
yes, not in a mean way like everybody says their bird has an attitude, but in like this really like
comical.
Oh my God, she's so funny. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much like reward that you as a human is going to get out of these foraging behaviors that you might even not know yet. Like just laughter and watching all of your birds' ridiculous mannerisms.
Yeah.
There's so much like mutual reward for
and the bird
foraging.
reflects that. I mean, who on this planet ever gets bit by their bird when they're laughing?
I know.
You know, it's always a situation where
from stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a whole different topic. We've even covered this topic, but it's just to get the point across it's that joy that you have in actually participating in this absolutely essential, non-optional aspect of your bird's life.
Yeah. All right. I think we should do a little recap for everybody real quick.
Yeah.
Just to kind of make sure we didn't miss anything. So foraging is simply the act of searching for food. Nearly every animal on the planet has to do this in some degree. But with parrots, it is an essential part of how they evolved in the wild. It's how their wild counterparts are spending 75% of their day.
Right.
It's our responsibility as bird owners to make sure that we are using our time with our parrots productively, and foraging is like the best way to do that.
And this is something that caters to your bird's mental and physical health through an unlimited number of options of creativity, of practicality, from, like I said earlier, to recap the crumbled up pieces of paper with a walnut in it, all the way to those more intense, complex acrylic foraging puzzles with trapdoors and stuff. And we didn't elaborate too much on, I guess we can now, which leads into another topic of what you kind of mentioned with Rascal about, especially for an older advanced bird, of utilizing foraging as the main source of diet while catering to their critical thinking, which is imperative to a bird's mental health. But like the acrylic foraging toys of complex puzzles that will last you. I mean, granted, they are an investment up front, but unless you have an out of this world destructive hyacinth macaw or a cockatoo or something like that, it's something that you can keep reusing, but not in a way that it gets boring. And so
rotating them out.
Yeah, rotating foraging toys, something we didn't touch on, but is still essential to keep it dynamic, to keep it exciting.
Yeah.
But rather than going back to having your bird a little bit older and a little bit more advanced, going back to catering to that's their sole source of, or almost their sole source of food, because that's what you taught them, you know, and it occupies them throughout the day. And all these different methods that can cater to your bird's mental and physical health.
Yeah.
Another thing that leads off of that is we touched on it, but didn't give examples of what you might be experiencing. And we're not saying that these are the reason why your bird might be doing this, but if you don't have that activity, if your bird is sitting there kind of twiddling their toes, hoping for the next whatever. A lot of those specific undesirable behaviors we mentioned earlier, but examples that some people talk to us about on a daily basis, like screaming, even feather picking. I mean, these are topics that we're not saying that this is the sole reason. I mean, if that's the case, then there might be some other
Yeah, I
like
think
reasons.
we
But
probably should do an episode. Well, we are for sure doing an episode this season about screaming.
yeah,
Eventually, we will do one probably about feather picking in general. But yes, it's like if your bird is spending its time foraging in a however many 24-hour day or whatever, 12 hours that your bird's awake, like if most of the time is spent foraging, that it's going to reduce the amount of time it has to do those undesirable behaviors.
And then that's just a negative snowball. I mean, once you start experiencing those, it's very easy for humans who already have a frustrating day at whatever we do with work to get really down when you go home and your bird is screaming or your bird is exhibiting these behaviors that you never want your bird to go through, because you don't want your bird to have to do that, because you love your bird. But then you feel stuck, and then you feel depressed, and then you feel frustrated, and then your bird starts to reflect that. And it's just, you get what I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that goes back to like the recap of quality of time versus quantity of time.
Yeah.
Really like focus in on your parrot's 12 hours of waking time, and then however many hours you have each day with your bird, and utilizing that amount of time to your parrot's best interest. For types of foraging toys, you've got chew toys, and the more difficult, I shouldn't say more difficult, but like just the different type of problem solving toy. And using your bird's natural history or the way that it behaves in the wild to kind of dictate how you're presenting your foraging toys. So again, research your species of parrot. It's our responsibility as bird owners to understand what country or region did our parrot's wild counterpart come from? Where are they native to? What are their natural activities and behaviors in the wild? And let's try to figure out a way of replicating that to some degree in our households. So that's on us as bird owners, but the information for the most part is there. Maybe not on every single species and how they're spending every minute of the day, but there is enough research out there that you could Google your species and have a pretty good sense of if they're canopy foragers, ground foragers, how big are their flocks, how are they spending most of their time. So go do that research, because it will benefit you guys.
It sounds silly to say that, but it's a lot of times. I mean, I saw this video of I forget what it was. I saw this video of a Major Mitchell cockatoo, a pink cockatoo, and one of the comments was, "I have a bird like that. That's my bird. I have a gala."
I know.
And it's like, okay, come on, people. We gotta
at least know what species we have. Yes.
So
people
this is just foundational
listening
stuff.
You might hear that and be like, how does somebody have a bird in their house and they don't know what species it is? I'd encourage you to come be a phone answerer at Parrot Stars. I am not trying to make fun of or criticize people.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
I
people.
know.
These are people trying to get their birds groomed, and I am not complaining if they're at least trying to take care of their bird.
Yeah, 100%.
But part of our grooming question is, okay, what species is it? And guys, if you heard the amount of phone calls that we get for grooming and the people do not know what species they have,
it's not even a bird that they've had for like just short time period.
They've had it
sometimes
for
it's years.
It is often that happens, where we're like, all right, is it big? Is it white? Is it colorful?
I know.
Is it small? Is it yellow?
I know.
And that's just part of our protocols, because we're like trying to gently like tell people, you guys got to know what species of bird you have in your home. But like, yes.
Yeah. It was kind of comical because a lot of the birds you can just kind of guess and you'll get it right. But like somebody called for a macaw, and it was that process where like, okay, it's a macaw, it's big. Yeah. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, what color? And they're like, it's like blue and yellow. And I'm like, there it is. That's the answer. It's a blue.
You got it.
Blue and yellow macaw.
Anyway, I know that's not probably most of the people that are listening to the podcast,
100%.
but guys, that's why we're trying to get you all on board with us to kind of like change our community standards about how parrots are kept in captivity. Like we should have the precedent that anybody that owns a parrot should know what species they have. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so researching your bird's wild counterpart, understanding their evolution and what they do in the wild.
Yes.
And then trying to figure out your bird's ideal foraging reward, reserving those foraging rewards just for foraging. So it's going to excite them and give them that endorphin release when they got their favorite treat after they've just done a job.
Still keeping it dynamic and all that good stuff.
And then be an active participant.
Mm-hmm.
Don't underestimate the value of teaching your parrot how to do things in a productive way, and let that be the bridge to like increasing the amount of bonding and interaction time that you have with your parrot in a way that's mutually beneficial to both of you.
Yeah.
And I think, I really like this episode because it made me think of like 45 things that we probably need to have like full topics on. Because foraging is just like, it's so broad.
Yeah, we didn't cover so much stuff.
I think I did say that.
It's like a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
kind of
I think I did say that in the beginning, that like we're trying to take a topic that literally has more benefits than we could possibly evaluate in just a 1 hour episode. But hopefully, guys, it gave you guys a good sense of like, we said it like 80 times, like it's so important and kind of like not optional.
Yeah, it's something that caters to every single aspect of your bird's life, from nutrition to a cage setup, to the cage itself, to the home setup, to the stuff that you have around the home where your bird can safely be, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it can be involved in every bit of your bird.
And I don't usually do this, but guys, go to parrotstars.com. We have worked really hard to like invest in products that are dynamic foraging toys. So a lot of the products that we carry at Parrot Stars are foraging toys. So just go on our website, fish through them. If it's something that you can hide a treat in, get it. It's a foraging toy. And we have so many different unique things at Parrot Stars that are meant for foraging. Yeah. So like you mentioned, the Bountiful Garden. We have the Super Seed Mix. That same thing has this unbelievable smell. Mm-hmm. It has types of seeds that aren't typically found in normal seed blends and can be reserved as an exciting once-in-a-while reward. We have the Cosmic Crunch, which is, again, literally a super colorful foraging blend. That's the way my mom kind of designed that one. Is it's, like you said, catering to the senses. It has it has every color of the rainbow in that foraging mix to kind of entice your bird and excite it. So there are a lot of places that you can invest in these items, and a little goes a long way. Yes, it is an investment that you have to make for your bird, but it will pay off. I promise you.
There's a lot of things that you can get for your parrot that you can use for foraging. Like a while ago, I sold a family one of our Java trees compared to something else because there was it's probably a defect, but just a little like hole in the tree. I was like, oh my gosh, you can use this for foraging. They're like, wow, that's really cool. We'll take it. So
yes. I mean, that's the cool thing too. And gosh, guys, sorry. I promise this episode is ending, but like, playing into the bird's exercise. I mean, when you guys get into advanced foraging, because your potential is literally limitless, you can teach your bird to station and fly safely through your home by creating foraging stations at different safety zones in your house.
Oh, yeah.
It is unbelievable. You can get a plexiglass back to your parrot's cage and screw in those foraging toys and create like literal foraging boards behind your bird's cage. Mm-hmm. There's so many things that you can do that are going to force your bird to have to move and exercise. It's really exciting.
Yeah. There's
and it makes me want to get over to the store so I can like put some treats in for Rascal so she shouldn't say treats. It's going to be her pellets, but
well, yeah.
Put her pellets in her little carousel foraging toy. All right. Anything else you can think of?
Like I said, I mean, there's so many other things about foraging, but this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg kind of thing. I mean, and we can talk all day long, but like we said so many times, this is an unlimited, like broad topic. So you can't really go wrong, unless you're putting your bird in danger for some silly reason. But I mean, yeah, that kind of covers a lot of it. I can't really think of anything else right now.
All right. Amazing, guys. So go to parrotstars.com. Again, reach out to us. I think you'd be shocked. Like, we're happy to answer your emails. So just email us directly, call us. We can give you this one-on-one advice if you seek it out. We're happy to do it. That's why we're doing this podcast. It's just meant to be free education that is meant to help you have a better experience with your companion parrot, but most importantly, have your parrot have a better experience in captivity. So we're here for you if you need us.
Yeah, always info@parrotstars.com. Just send us a question.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for listening. As always, please, I really hate to ask so much, but downloading, sharing, rating, and reviewing this podcast really, really helps us out. I actually went on yesterday and looked at our rating and reviews, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. So really, thank you
everybody.
to everybody who has already done it, and ignore us if we keep asking for it if you've already done it. But we are trying really hard to grow this podcast, and every kind of month we go along now that we're going to be post summer festival planning.
I know.
Hopefully we'll have more time to kind of contribute to the podcast. So getting a bigger audience is going to really help us out to be able to do more episodes.
Yeah.
So
thanks, everybody.
All right. Well,
as always, everybody,
be kind to your parrot and it will be kind to you.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.